Sup Shredders, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to an SP Patrons video today that I make for Ghost as part of their custom monthly music review. And if we switch over to here, we have ourselves a video for this track on YouTube. This is from MC Cheung Tinfu. This is titled Caution Wet Floor, so this has apparently got the subtitles and everything now within it. This video kindly linked by Ghost. We're going to listen through his track from start till finish. We're going to hear what we think. Let's go. Oh, the sad sounding piano. Interesting triplet flow to the keys. Suspense. I think that the piano is just as important here as the vocals. There's a tremendous amount of technicality to the musical performance, and I think that it really is stunning. There is a complexity to the lyrics as well, the story that's being told here. There are, of course, English subs in different languages on here in case you want to check it out. So feel free to go check out the link in the description if you want to see it without the SP Patreon stuff down the bottom there I usually put. But yeah, it's charming. It's a really well-written song, and I like what we're talking about. Not positive, but hang on, if we go back a little bit, I just want to get that. They will still be helped up by the invisible hand of karmic forces. So we're talking about the people that do bad, why aren't they facing punishment? Where is the fairness in the world, etc.? More to it than that, but it's great to reduce the intensity of the accompaniment when there's less vocals, just to allow a bit of space, you know? Sick guitars as well with the drums. Tremendous development as well. It's nice not to have the same setup in the arrangement the entire time. Bring the guitars, drums and bass in really does kind of level it up a little bit. It's a different environment to elaborate within the verses. Returning to that bridge though is effective as well. With this kind of genty da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da kind of reminds me a lot of the progressive metal in the early 2010s. I wasn't expecting that to be here. I think the closest we've got with these string sections is like symphonic metal, like with a lot of the kind of J-rock, for example, that we have. Bands like X-Japan, a lot of other ones use like strings and other sections. But this is tremendous. The tightness of those grooves between the 16th note kind of hi-hat and kick combinations with the chugs, the palm muted bits, is just refreshing. And the flurry of the strings with the way they rise up and down those oscillations there is a wonderful foil to it. It's an incredibly compelling composition. MC Cheung Tinfu. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, charming. Bring it back to the triplets. Then I wish you a very long life and countless alien nights is a hell of a line. Hell of a line, dude. Really chilling way to end it. I think I have developed a healthier appreciation for MC Cheung Tinfu. And welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named MC Cheung Tinfu. This track titled Caution Wet Floor. Now, what do I think this track is about? I think it's about letting people know, those who do bad things, those who do awful or evil things, that while they feel that they might be getting away with it for now, it's a wet floor, and if water can tell the difference between good and evil, you're going to slip over and you're going to shatter like an egg. There is nowhere for you to escape. Even if you last a little while with any consequences for actions, the laws of nature will not be overturned and you're going to be called out. And what I want to do is just give a shout out to the vocabulary that we displayed throughout the stanzas within those verse sections and in the choruses. We've got someone who is extremely articulate, very, very good with their words, how they express themselves. I enjoyed listening to the story. It sounded like I was listening to a novel being read to me. The accompaniment, the vocal performance, the quality of the production, everything else was just obviously a bonus. But part of the reason I also wanted to show the background of the MC's YouTube page, I'll link in the description, is just so you know where to go to watch the full version. I think the last one of the reviews I did for Ghost got copyright blocked worldwide, so I wanted to make sure that this didn't happen again. So that's all good, thanks. The joys of having alternate links. But in addition to that, I think that this track had a phenomenal vocal performance there with a lot of drama to it. We have a sensational singer in MC Cheung Tinfu, where we didn't just sit within our chest voice, we rose to the head, fluctuated between them effortlessly. There were these wonderful falsetto sections in some of the chorus parts. We soared high, lovely vibrato to that as well, some interesting legato sections as well. And it was great. We had a huge presence to the way that we vocalized and told the story. It was almost like we were in an opera or something. Well, not an opera. It wasn't that kind of style of vocals, but it was a huge, it was very epic in the way we wanted to express ourselves, as if there was a massive statement being made. We needed to match the gravity of that with our approach to it. I think that in regards to the way we expressed ourselves, it was very appropriate for the type of story we were telling. It carried that same intensity to me thematically, and I'm overall very happy with how it was sung. As well as there was a lot of variety of the vocal melodies and harmonies that were there, and I love the way they coordinated with the accompaniment in the background. But the track, in addition to that, was like 4 minutes or so, and that's a reasonably short track for the amount that we had going on here. Granted, we didn't really have like traditional sort of like solo sections or anything like that, but there were really engaging verse and chorus parts there with bridges as well, so like an ABC verse bridge chorus structure. We had a couple of those with instrumental breaks within it and like an interlude there, and I think that's really all we needed. We didn't need more than that. I think that we had a compelling enough tale that we could get away with just having the vocals be the focal point for the majority of the time. We also built up the track as we went along with just having I say just, but that's more than enough. Like the piano and the strings and the vocals at first, bring the guitar, bass, drums into the mid part, and just kind of keeping that intensity and momentum rising up until the end part where we kind of came back down with that intro motif being repeated at the end as if we'd reached the end of the bell curve. I think if we look at a couple of the instruments in particular, I want to give a shout out to the piano lines. I think the intro motif there with the 8th note groove set the tone very well, was somber with the minor tonalities, a lot more further articulation with the scale shapes and stuff in that bridge section. It was tremendous to get more kind of intense there and more add a little bit more depth and a few more interesting notes from those scale shapes and modes, and for the chorus to have that waltzish kind of feel to it, which the strings helped with quite a lot. It was fantastic. There was a smoothness to the strings there, occasional staccatos, but a lot of it was simply to provide more of a pad-like foil to it, or what the keys were doing. The guitars were tremendous. There was a lot of range to what the guitars were doing. We typically either stuck with the dun 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 like in the interlude, like some of the last section bits there with the breakdown with the drums in tow, but also we had some interesting sort of like lead guitar harmonies that resonated well with the piano and string parts. And when we had chords, they were a nice mid-range filler to get the stereo field a little bit more kind of spicy and perky, and ultimately suited the overall theme well. The bass line and drums, the bass was nice and tight in the low end. It was nice and smooth without being overpowering, and it fit the needs of the track well. And we also had a phenomenal intricacy with the way that the drums have been played. I've said intricacy a lot. There was some very satisfying drum grooves, fills, and triplet transitions being played there, with a great exploration of the kit on display here by the percussionist. All in all, I think my favorite part of this track, the two favorite parts for me, were the breakdown with the guards, dun 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 dun. It was just such an interesting style that I didn't expect to have within this, but I like the fact that we're making the most of those harder distorted parts to kind of add a bit of raunchy kind of interesting staccato-ish part. It was great. It was kind of nice to have less of the smoothness there, to have shorter notes there that kind of punched in while still being well balanced and well compressed in the post-production, for it to still be a rather smooth experience. But also the way that the strings coalesced with the vocals and were interwoven throughout, there was a nice cohesion and chemistry with the various ingredients within that mix, and that was all the more reason why it was satisfying to listen to, especially as we added everything in near the end. We had the big finish, because I think we had an adjustment of the lyrics within that last chorus to kind of have a slight bit of difference, like a twist in the tail, which I appreciate. I think when you added all the instruments into the B part, the second act, the third act needs to be a resolution of that. Everything you've learned up until that point, we kind of surmised that the person was going to keep doing stuff, and just eventually reminding them that the laws of nature again will not be overturned. They will eventually face consequences, even if they don't believe it after listening through most of that tale. So all in all, the motif beyond that was like, it was the dance through life, the trying to avoid the puddles, someone juggling and kind of pissing all over the floor and just making a real mess of things, and MC Cheung Tinfu saying, look, you think you can get away with this. That's what the music sounded like to me. It was beautiful, the dance of life, but there's also a sinister tone to it where there will be retribution if you're not careful, and you better watch your back and you better watch out for those puddles. So it was cool. I think finally, with all that out of the way, with a really wonderful instrumental performance without a note out of place, and the vocals and story matching, you've just got the music production, the studio engineering, recording and stuff. I think that there was a great vocal take combined with really solid performances again from the other instrumentalists, with a nice chemistry between them, with a track where there was enough dynamic range for things to breathe, where instruments weren't playing the whole time. There was great sort of balladesque thematic development there. But also just things were nice and wide in the stereo field, even with less and with more. We still had a nice sort of smoothness there. It was nice and round, and the music surrounded you. There were no resonant frequencies in the frequency spectrum there, so things were nicely notched into that bit. There was there was dynamic range. I mentioned that. The leveling overall of the track was phenomenal. It was commercial grade. No issues with the studio stuff. I think that finally. It was nice and low without pumping, so limiting compression was handled really effectively. And I think as a final note, the vocals had a phenomenal presence to them with very little treatment. I just think MC Cheung Tinfu was a sensational singer, and they were the star, the icing on the cake, when everything else is so wonderful. I don't really think there was a fault of the song. I think it was damn near flawless, and this is my review of this track from an actor named MC Cheung Tinfu, titled Caution Wet Floor, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as either help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world, and I'll catch you in the next SC Patrons video. Spiderhands out.